is to memorize this and write it 15 times.
Welcome to the coolest, hippest half hour of fun on TV. This is Brain Stew with Jennifer Pulley.
This week, Brain Stew goes on a road trip to Charlottesville, Virginia, where we visit Monticello, the home of the third president of the United States. You've all seen Monticello before. Psst, it's on the back of the nickel. Look in your pocket. Thomas Jefferson lived and worked at his home, Monticello. Besides being the prez, Thomas Jefferson was a gardener, an architect, an astronomer. You won't believe all the things he did in his lifetime. Stick around. Brain Stew visits Monticello next. Hey, welcome to Brain Stew. Have you ever visited Charlottesville, Virginia? It's a cool place to visit. Plus, it's located right here in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. The Blue Ridge Mountains are part of a larger mountain range, the Appalachian Mountains. Anyway, there's tons to do and see here in Charlottesville, Virginia. Like what? Well, you can hike or bike on the Appalachian Trail. You can even ski down a mountain. But today, we're going to visit the home of Thomas Jefferson. Whoops! But today, we're going to visit the home of Thomas Jefferson, Monticello. Who was Thomas Jefferson? Well, let me tell you. He was the third president of the United States, serving 2 four-year terms from 1801 until 1809. Now, Thomas Jefferson was the author of 2 very important U.S. documents: the Declaration of Independence, signed in 1776, and the Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom. Now, you all know about the Declaration of Independence, right? The Declaration of Independence stated that all men, or, well, people, are created equal and have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happy! Happy! Well, this document established the foundation of self-government in this country. You know, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Important U.S. document number 2. The Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom was the nation's first law providing for separation of church and state. Basically, it says that you have the right to practice any religion you please. And hey, that's a pretty important right. You can thank Thomas Jefferson for that. Did I mention that Thomas Jefferson was the third president of the United States?
Yes.
I did? Well, did I mention that he was governor of Virginia?
No.
Minister to France? First Secretary of State, second Vice President, father of the University of Virginia?
What didn't he do?
In fact, he was an archaeologist, an astronomer, an architect, a philosopher, a musician, an innovator, and even a gardener. Well, I know it seems like he did a little bit of everything, but what we're going to focus on today, focus, is Thomas Jefferson as an architect, an innovator, and a guy with a really green thumb. You know, teachers hang out together. This is my friend, Crescent. How you doing, Crescent?
Just fine, just fine.
She's a 4th grade teacher here in Albemarle County. I have a question for you. What did Jefferson accomplish while he was president from 1801 to 1809?
Well, he accomplished a lot, but I think perhaps one of the things that he's known most for is overseeing the Louisiana Purchase, as well as overseeing the exploration of Meriwether Lewis and Captain William Clark when they went out west to explore the territory.
Okay, and you have some maps over
Yes.
here that show us, you know, the land, what the land
Right,
looked like.
exactly.
It looks a lot different than what we know today.
Right. This is what the United States looked like in 1802. And then after the Louisiana territory was purchased from Napoleon Bonaparte, the size of the
From France, correct.
From France,
Okay.
right. The size of the United States more than doubled, which took us past the Rocky Mountains.
Wow.
And so as they traveled, they would meet lots of different Native Americans as they went out west. Lewis and Clark would exchange peace medals, like the one that's in this case.
Yeah, peace and friendship.
Shows, right, peace and friendship. And then oftentimes the Native Americans would send back gifts like an otter skin tobacco pouch, that you see here.
And then Lewis and Clark in turn gave it to Jefferson.
Right.
Is that right? Okay, so they would bring it back in.
And he would put it here in this entrance hall. In fact, Thomas Jefferson called this an Indian hall.
What kind of things did Jefferson create?
Well, he designed this clock right here in 1793. And when he installed it into this room, he realized he had a problem. It's driven by these weights that go down the ropes, these cables on each side. And the reason we can't see those weights, they look kind of like cannonballs, is because he ran out of space.
There's a hole in the floor. Do you know that?
Yeah, that's right. Well, he had that cut there so that those weights could go through, and they spin Saturday in the basement.
There's doors everywhere.
This one, I think, further shows his interest in mechanical devices. If you see how I close this door, something's going to happen to the other. Now they work because underneath this floor right here, there are these chains similar to a bicycle chain that goes around in a figure 8. So as one door is open or closed, the same happens to the other.
Now, was this the exact house where Thomas Jefferson lived? And he lived in here?
This is where he lived, right.
And this was all the original house?
This is all the original house. However, he was always changing it around. So in fact, where we're standing right now, this was not part of the first Monticello built here. This was added after he returned from France.
Okay. He kept changing things, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he always loved changing things. And he actually said that architecture is my delight, and the putting up and pulling down one of my favorite amusements. So he was definitely changing things around.
You keep hitting things.
There's so many things right here. In fact, this is a seed press, what you just bumped into, and that is, Jefferson was very interested in all kinds of science, including botany or plants, and so he would take seeds from the different plants that were grown here, and he would store them here in this press. And I do know that the nails that were used in the press were made here in the nailery.
These here?
Right, and in fact I have some that we've found here on the property in archaeological excavations. So these were nails that were actually made here in the nailery.
Now we talked about Thomas Jefferson also, besides designing Monticello, his home. Did he do any other designing of buildings? I mean, did he create any other buildings?
Yes. In fact, he designed the Capitol of Virginia here in Richmond.
Yep.
And he also designed the University of Virginia.
Wasn't he like the father?
Right. He was exactly. He was the father of the University of Virginia. In fact, that was so important to him that he had that engraved on his tombstone.
Yeah, there's like 3 things that he. What were those 3 things?
Well, he wanted to be remembered for being the father of the University of Virginia and for being the author of the Declaration of Independence.
That's what I think most of us remember him for. I mean, I think he did all these other things, and that's what we're learning about.
Exactly. And he also wanted to be remembered for being the author of the Statute for Religious Freedom.
That's right.
Which is surprising. Those 3 things were wonderful things, but it's surprising that he didn't want to be remembered for being the president. Jefferson was a very meticulous record keeper.
Like diaries, I guess?
Exactly. And letters. I mean, he wrote over 19,000 letters in his lifetime.
Oh.
And we'll see the machine that he wrote some of those letters on.
What do you mean the machine he wrote it on?
Well, it's a polygraph, is what it's called. And he actually called it the finest invention of the present age.
Can we go see it?
Sure, it's right here. It's right behind me, in fact. You can see that there are 2 pins that are attached to these wooden pieces, and as he wrote with one, a copy would be made with the other. So then when he'd pick it up and dip his pen into ink, then the other one would automatically
this is kind of like a really, really old copying machine?
Right,
like what
exactly.
you and I use today to make copies and tests?
Exactly, exactly. And he would sit in this chair. This was his whirligig chair. And of course, his whirligig chair. Of course, you could imagine whirling back and forth in it. It does rotate from side to side.
And I guess that provided his light.
Right, he had the candles.
Electricity.
Right, no electricity. I think this room represents lots of his interest. And there we see his telescope, which he would use to look at the stars.
This is his bedroom.
Yeah, this is his bedroom.
This is where he actually
exactly
lived and slept and wrote.
This is also where he died. He died on July 4th, 1826.
Was it, what, 50?
Exactly 50 years after the adoption of the Declaration of Independence.
Did Thomas Jefferson have a bathroom in his house?
Well, actually, he did. He was very fortunate. He had a privy, what they called their bathrooms back then.
Okay.
Basically, it was a chamber pot. But it was nice because it was convenient. It was right here. He didn't have to go outside like most people did during his time period.
Yeah, that's kind of tiny in there, though.
Yeah, right, it was tiny. Jefferson really felt it was important that he should take care of himself. We actually even have one of his hand weights.
Now, you know, I mean, I teach aerobics on the side. You think Jefferson could have made it in one of my aerobics classes?
I think he probably would have done really well.
Yeah, he could lift some weights,
Right,
pump some iron.
right, exactly. Although he was quite gangly, so I think he
wasn't
would
buff.
be fine. But no.
How many levels are in the house?
There are 4 levels, including the cellar, or the basement.
Okay, now, you know, these stairs kind of make me feel a little claustrophobic.
Right, they are very narrow.
Why? Why are they
Well,
so small?
Jefferson liked to save space when it was convenient, and he thought that staircases could be a waste of space.
Because most staircases that I know of, any house that I go into, the staircase is like right when you walk in, you know, the big staircase. And he didn't do that at all.
No.
Well, you know, I have this handy dandy tape measure here, and I really want to see how wide these stairs are because they look pretty narrow to me. So let me see if I can. They're about 1.5 feet, about almost 2 feet. Is that about right?
Yeah, about 2 feet, about 24 inches.
Pretty cool. Glad I had this handy dandy tape measure. Thank you, sir. Okay, from inside Thomas Jefferson's home to outside on his grounds. Now we got some teacher talk going on right here. Okay. Now I teach money, you teach money,
Right,
in the
right,
4th grade.
definitely,
Okay, and we look at all the different coins, and one coin in particular is very special to Monticello.
Right.
The nickel?
The nickel. I actually have
Now that's not a
one
real
here.
nickel.
Well, no, it's been blown up a little bit. But yeah, we see Thomas Jefferson on one side, but if you look on the back, you can see Monticello.
Isn't that cool?
Which you can see right there as well. Yeah.
This is great. You want the nickel?
Okay, good.
You want the, hey, don't spin that all in one place. This is where the carriages would pull up, right?
That's right.
To visit Thomas Jefferson.
Exactly.
So a different entrance.
Right, you'd be at the east entrance, and this would be your first impression of Monticello.
How did he build this place?
Well, actually, the bricks were made here.
On the grounds?
On the grounds, exactly. So he used bricks. He used materials that were easily accessible, like the brick. And he also used quarried stone to make these columns, these 4 columns that you see here. As we look up, you actually see another of his innovations. You see the wind plate is attached to the weather vane. So
looks like a compass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Jefferson could see which direction the wind blew.
Okay, from one teacher to another, I want to thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
For educating us
Oh, you're welcome.
on Monticello, the inside and the outside. Thank you so much.
Oh, sure.
Thanks. Now, you passing me on to someone else?
Yes. You'll be going with Jeff Jennings. He's going to take you and show you the grounds and the gardens here at Monticello.
Don't let your brain slip away. We'll be right back with more from Thomas Jefferson's home, Monticello. Okay, you guys, we're back, and I'm here with my buddy Jeff. How you doing, Jeff?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. My brain is just overflowing with so much information about Thomas Jefferson. We say that he had a green thumb. What does that mean? I mean,
he did. He had one of his fortes was horticulture,
which is gardening, I guess.
Gardening, anything to do with plants. He loved diverse varieties of plants, trees, flowers, shrubs, vegetables. He loved it all.
Man. And now, are there any original items that he planted, you know, back in the 1700s, 1800s? That...
Here we have one. This is an original tree.
Can I touch it?
Yeah.
History.
It's huge.
It is. Now, what kind of tree is this, Jeff?
This is a tulip poplar.
It's 200 years old?
At least.
So, Jeff, this is it? This is the only real piece of history right here?
Well, actually, there's 3 other original plantings.
Really?
Yeah, we have another tulip poplar on this side over here.
Okay, same as this.
Yeah. And then there's an eastern red cedar that you can see. It's the one with the silver trunk and the green. The only real green this time of year.
Looks kind of bare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that leaning tower of tree over there that looks dead, but it's really not dead.
Yeah, the leaves are like brown.
A European lark.
You sure it's not dead?
Yeah, positive. A lot of people think they're dead, and that's why there's not many around, it seems like.
And now he just didn't have trees.
He had lots of flowers.
And what else?
Vegetables.
grew his own vegetables. I mean,
Grew his own
everything.
vegetables.
Now they're gone, right?
Well, there's some left
Yeah?
this time of year.
Can we see them?
Yeah,
I mean, the gardens that he actually cultivated and grew, they're still here.
we can see them.
Oh, let's go, let's go. Hey, Jeff, you just walked me down
Mulberry Row.
lined with mulberry.
Mulberry trees. This is where the slaves, it was like a working city up here almost. And
Thomas
that's where-
Jefferson didn't do the work.
Right.
Well,
they
yeah.
did the work.
Yeah.
The brick making, everything pretty much. And they contributed so much to Monticello.
Okay, now here we're walking down to,
Walking down to the vegetable garden.
okay.
And we'll come through this paling fence that went around the vegetable garden
Yeah.
and the entire orchard, which is below the vegetable garden. That kept out pests such as rabbits and deer. This is like an exotic restaurant to those guys. So.
I'm sure. That's a neat way to put it. Let's go munch at Monticello.
Right.
Now here we're overlooking the vegetable gardens.
Right.
What vegetables are here?
Mostly heirloom varieties of vegetables that Thomas Jefferson grew. In the summer, this place is thriving and producing.
This is huge. This is a tremendous garden. And this is just his vegetables and his herbs, correct?
Right.
Okay, and then over there, what do we have
Beyond this, there's a stone wall, and that is the South Orchard, where he grew cherry, peach, apple, nectarine. The wonderful thing about Jefferson is he kept such good notes.
Yeah,
on
well, we saw the
everything.
polygraph. I mean, he made copies of everything that he wrote.
Right. So it's made it easy for our restoration and putting everything back in its exact place and trying to preserve the old varieties.
Because you
he
know
grew.
basically what he did. I mean, he
Right.
told you what he grew. Hey, Jeff, this little marker here says TJ, Texas bird pepper. What's this?
Well, the TJ stands for Thomas Jefferson,
Uh-huh.
and the Texas bird pepper is the name of the pepper here.
Yeah.
And we also label things in the Latin name.
Yeah, I noticed this foreign language.
Capsicum annuum, and that is Latin, and it's a universal language, so everybody knows what kind of pepper that is.
And this is an actual pepper that TJ would have had here, right?
Right, in his notes. And we were lucky to get some seed, and we carry on the tradition.
Well, let me put this marker back. I don't want to mess up his garden here. Okay, from orchards to veggie gardens to flower gardens. And that's what we're walking through right now?
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson's flower garden?
Yeah.
Or what
This is his flower gardens, and it's basically a roundabout walk that meanders around the west lawn and comes back around. And there's many different kinds of flowers grown here in the summer.
Yeah, this time of the year there's not much in bloom, but I can only imagine, I can picture how beautiful it must be.
It's so beautiful. All the bulbs are in right now, and in the
Waiting to bloom,
springtime, it's
yeah.
going to be extraordinary. Great time.
You think we'd come back?
Yeah,
okay.
please.
Well, Jeff, you seem to have a lot in common with Thomas Jefferson. You yourself like to garden and plant things, correct?
Yeah, we have the same color hair.
Yeah? That's right, freckles too?
Yeah.
Are you Thomas Jefferson? I don't think you had that
What do you
goatee
call
thing.
it?
I want to thank you so much for showing us around all of Jefferson's orchards and his farms and gardens and everything.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. And we'll be back in the spring because I really want to see this
Please
place
come see it.
with
It's beautiful.
all the tulips and everything. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Jefferson lived a long life. Most of it was spent here at Monticello. You guys, I'm at his grave right now. See TJ, Thomas Jefferson? Yeah, he's buried right inside this gate. TJ was born in 1743 here in Albemarle County. And he died here in Monticello on July 4th, 1826. He was 83 years old if you do your math. In fact, Thomas Jefferson has over 2,000 descendants that are eligible to be buried here. Well, if they want.
Thomas Jefferson loved to look at the stars. Hey, are the stars always shining? Let's find out. Here's what you need: a flashlight, an index card, a white envelope, and a hole puncher. Here's what you do. Punch 7 or 8 holes in the index card. I put more than 8, but that's okay. Put the index card in the envelope. Now hold the flashlight in front of the envelope. Do you see anything? I don't. Hey, what happens if we put it behind the envelope? Now check out these results. The holes in the index card are not seen when the light shines on front of the envelope, but are easily seen when the light comes from behind the envelope and towards you. Why did this happen? Light from the room passes through the holes in the car regardless of the position of the flashlight. Only when the surrounding area is darker than the light coming through the holes can they be seen. This is also true of stars. They shine during the daylight hours, but the sky is so bright from the sun's light that the starlight just blends in. Stars are most visible on a moonless night in areas away from city lights.
Hey, thanks. That was a really cool experiment. Want to try something else? How about going to your library for books and websites about Thomas Jefferson and his home, Monticello?
Did you know that Thomas Jefferson said that he couldn't live without books? We feel the same way. Here's some books we found that we hope you can't live without.
This one shows why Monticello was a great site for a home. This is a view from the top of Jefferson's Little Mountain. By the time Monticello was finished, this is what it looks like. This book has an aerial view too.
Here's a page with some of the inventions Mr. Jefferson made. Look, here's a copying machine that writes 2 pages at once.
Here's what Mr. Jefferson's vegetable garden looks like today. It's been recreated by the staff at Monticello.
He kept meticulous records in his farm books. Here's one for 1816 and what he planted, where he planted it, when he planted it, when it came to the table, and other interesting information about it.
Mr. Jefferson also had beautiful flower gardens and a fish pond.
By the end of his life, he was heavily in debt because he had to entertain so much. His friends got together and started a lottery to try to get him some money. Here's a copy of a lottery ticket. Doesn't look much like ours today, does it?
You can find lots of magazine articles about Mr. Jefferson and his homes at Poplar Forest and Monticello. This one talks about another property he owned, Elk Hill. And here's a letter that Mr. Jefferson actually wrote to one of his tenants.
We found videotapes that include information on the architecture of Monticello and also Jefferson's development at the University of Virginia.
You can even find poetry about Mr. Jefferson. In a Book of Americans by Rosemary and Stephen Vincent Benet, here's a poem about Mr. Jefferson's life and work. Even though Monticello was built 200 years ago, the staff there has created an excellent website that's very modern. If you're studying Thomas Jefferson, you might want to look at what he did every day. Let's choose our own time. We might not want to get up at sunrise. You can see Mr. Jefferson accomplished lots of things before he even ate his breakfast. Here's the nails that they talked about earlier in the show. Let's see. Hey, this sounds like us. Recipe for ice cream. Ice cream was just becoming popular during that period, and look, here's the kind Mr. Jefferson ate. And here's how they made it. Let's check out one of Mr. Jefferson's other homes. He did say Poplar Forest was the most valuable of his possessions. It looks a lot like Monticello. Maybe you could do a report about how the two differ. Let's see the history. That's a great view of the house. Remember the gardens at Monticello? Here's the plans for the gardens at Poplar Forest. Did you know that Mr. Jefferson also designed buildings at the University of Virginia? Let's have a look at his rotunda. There's that familiar style. Look, there was a fire. The fire occurred in 1895, and unfortunately most of the rotunda burned and had to be rebuilt. That's all for our sites today, but you can find lots more if you search under Mr. Jefferson's name on the internet. See you next time.
Well, I'm standing high atop Brown's Mountain, or as Thomas Jefferson would have called it, Monte Alto. That's Italian, meaning high mountain. While I climb down this mountain, why don't you pick up a pen and write me at Jennifer Pulley, in care of Brain Stew, P.O. Box 300, Norfolk, Virginia 23501-0300. Can't find a pencil? Got a computer? Find me on the web at wtkr.com/brainstew/. Well, I hope you learned a mountain of information about Thomas Jefferson and his home, Monticello. I sure did. You know, the best way to see where and how Thomas Jefferson lived is to come visit Monticello yourself. Oh, and bring your parents. You'll have a blast as you go back in time and meet an incredible man who not only designed his own home, universities, and Capitol buildings, but established the government by which we live today. Oops.
What did Thomas
What innovations did Jefferson create?
Today, we're going to visit the home of Thomas Jefferson. Whoops! Well, this document established the foundation of self-government.
What? The index card is in the... Check out. Check.
Well, yes, he was a musician, an architect. Sorry. Back in Thomas Jefferson's time, he would have called it Mount Mono Alto. Mono Alto.
Check out these results.
He was 83 years old if you do your math. Is that right? Is that 83 years old?